Alright guys, this is 8.5, solving quadratic equations by factoring and using the zero product property. This is day 2 and we have examples 4, and that's what this one is. 5 and then 6. Alright, so solve the equation 5b squared plus 7b plus 2 equals 0. Because this is greater than 1, we want to first see if there are any common factors. There are not. And then we need to multiply this first term times the last term, and we are going to put it into the X or the grouping or the box method, whichever you prefer. So 5 times 2 is 10. And then we have to put our middle term down on the bottom, and that would give you 5 plus 2 is 7. 5 times 2 is 10. And then we divide these side factors by your A. So we divide the 5 by 5 and the 2 by 5, and we simplify if we can. So then this becomes 1 over 1, or just 1, and that's 2 over 5, which is just 2/5. Okay, so now writing this as a factored equation, we have b plus 1 times b, oops, that's supposed to be 2b. Got a little anxious there. So we'll have wow, I'm tired. I am tired. I'm very sorry. That shouldn't be 2b. We are taking it bottoms up, so that would be 5b plus 2. And then we set that equal to 0. And in order to solve for b, we set each expression equal to 0. So you have b plus 1 equals 0, and 5b plus 2 equals 0. For the first one, we subtract 1 from both sides, giving us b equals -1. For the second one, we subtract 2 from both sides, and we end up with 5b equals -2, and then divide both sides by 5. So that leaves us with b is -2/5. So we have two answers. B is -2/5 and B is -1. Right. Now scrolling down at looking at example 5, this one is a special case. If you look back in your unit 7 material, the light pink foldable, this is the difference of squares. Right. And I also want to say it was 7.7 in your interactive notebook. Okay, so this is a perfect square, this is a perfect square, and that's a difference. So it's a difference of perfect squares. So then you take the square root of the h squared, which is h, take the square root of 36, which is 6, and you're going to have h and 6 and h and 6. The only difference between these two is that in order to get that -36, one of these needs to be positive and one of these needs to be negative. And then you set these two expressions equal to 0, solve both expression for the variable, and that's your answer. So h plus 6 equals 0 and h minus 6 equals 0. So we would subtract 6 from both sides. Excuse me. And h is -6. And then we would add 6 to both sides. We have h is positive 6. So this would be your answer. Okay. Finally, example 6. This is another special case. This one is a perfect square trinomial, and we know it is because 4x squared is a perfect square. It's 2x times 2x. 9 is a perfect square. It's 3 times 3. Okay. So the square root of 4x squared is 2x. The square root of 9 is 3, and then you take the sign of the middle, and then you square both sides, or square the expression. Now to solve that, we would take the square root of both sides, which is where I was coming with that both sides thing, and we have 2x plus 3 equals 0. So then you subtract 3 from both sides. And we have 2x equals negative 3. Divide both sides by 2. And you have your answer. X is negative 3 over 2. And that makes sense because that means your vertex is sitting on the x-axis. All right, now let's play devil's advocate and say you don't remember doing this. Well, you have your old fallback method. You can go ahead and do the x method. So 4 times 9 is 36. Take your middle term and put it down below. Factors of 36 that are going to equal 12, well, that would be 6 and 6. And then you divide both of those side factors by a. So divide both of these sides by 4. And then reduce, which is going to give you 3 over 2. And this one is going to give you 3 over 2. Now we set that, or write that as expressions. And you're going to have 2x plus 3 and 2x plus 3 equals 0. So set one of those or both of those equal to 0. And if you'll notice, this is the exact same thing that we have here. So then we subtract 3 from both sides. 2x is negative 3, and then divide both sides by 2. So there you have it. Your answer is negative 3 over 2. Either way you go. All right. That's it. And let me know if you have any questions.